Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about new medical coders and LinkedIn. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys. So, LinkedIn. If you don't know, LinkedIn is a professional platform where people from all industries get together and you can connect with other people who are in the health information field or medical reimbursement or anything like that. And you start to grow your network. Social media is a great way to grow your network and to make connections. But there's a right way and a wrong way to try to put yourself out there making connections, okay? I got 2 messages today, which is why I want to go ahead and do this video. The first one is a very thoughtful message. I like the way the person asked the questions, so I want to address that. The other message I'm going to share is what not to do. What not to do when you are trying to reach out on LinkedIn, okay, as a social platform, okay, and what to do instead. All right, so here's the message from the viewer that was asking the right questions, okay? Here's my question. A question, hi Blue, a question I have been wondering about and would like your thoughts and opinions on is people posting on LinkedIn the open to work in a brief statement. So there's a banner on LinkedIn that says you're open to work with a brief statement. And they usually say the same thing. Oh, I would like to connect with you. If you have any, if you know about any openings in health information roles or medical coder roles, it's just very the same. Whenever I see that, I just keep scrolling and move along. No one is going to magically be like, oh my gosh, this person that posted this thing on LinkedIn, I immediately want to contact with them because they put out the same canned statement as everybody else. So they go on to say, I was wondering, is this effective and helpful? Is it worth it? Does it look desperate and low bar? Is it acceptable for some people and not for others? It is acceptable for no one, in my opinion. That's in my opinion, and I'll give you the reason why here in a second. Does it degrade a person's profile account? Thank you for your time and feedback on this matter. And I said to the viewer, it doesn't help. And in my opinion, it looks lazy and desperate. No one is coming to save you while on a white horse and bring you a job. It also makes you a target for someone who is trying to run a scam, right? Because a lot of times when people will put their green banners out and say that they're open to work, they complain about like people messaging them with resume writing services and you know, oh, optimize your LinkedIn profile. My opinion about somebody that has to sit here and cold email people for business, that's not a successful person, right? Because if you were any good at your job, you wouldn't have to do that. I'm just saying people would seek you out, all right? So never do that. Never do that. Don't put out there, oh, I'm open to work. Oh, do you have any leads? If you haven't gone through the steps of connecting with people, like either through attending like online meetings for like AAPC or HEMA, if you haven't met people there, you know, just kind of meeting in sort of this chat room and that kind of thing, and made those connections that way, you're just sort of just, you know, putting anything out there and just seeing what sticks. That's not a very strategic move, right? Just acting like, oh, you know, can you connect with me? Or is this, does anyone have any, you know, leads on a job or anything like that? You don't know who's going to be reaching out to you. That's number one. You don't know who's going to be reaching out to you. You don't know who is looking at your profile to think, what can I get out of this person? You know, I have seen people on LinkedIn, and the ones that bother me the most are the women, because they will put their physical home address on their resume and upload it for the whole world to see. So while posting your resume is acceptable, putting your physical home address is not. No one that is looking at your resume right now at this point, if they're looking for people, needs to see your home address. You know, if you put your city, state, and zip code, that's totally fine. But you do not have to put your home address. So you're just putting information out there. And let's keep in mind how much information you can get on a resume. You get the person's whole work history. You get their phone number, you get their, in some cases, their address, you get their email address, you get all the places that they have worked, you get all of that information. And it's so easily given, right? Because people think that other people are going to have their best interests at heart. Other people will not have your best interests at heart. There are people with their own agendas who are trying to get one over on somebody because it's easier to do that rather than to actually do work, which I think is disgusting. Because for anybody to take advantage of somebody who's looking for a job, that's awful. But we need to exercise some common sense as well. And I know, again, everybody thinks that it's safe online. It is not. It is not. You have to be just as on guard as you would be in person. So we need to look at like what our resume looks like when we're posting it online. Obviously, you need to make it a one-pager. Obviously, you need to not put things on there like your physical home address because there's just no reason for that. Your email address is fine, but just be prepared because you will have stupid people sending you dumb things too, okay? Because you have your email address up there. So that's just something that you got to be aware of. But when it comes to how you're structuring your LinkedIn profile, I don't know about optimizing the LinkedIn profile. A lot of people will say, oh yeah, we sell this service, that service to optimize your LinkedIn profile. You can find a job without optimizing your LinkedIn profile. How do I know? Because I've helped hundreds of people with their resumes, and not once did I have to say, oh, let me optimize your LinkedIn profile. And I never guarantee, but a lot of them were still able to get jobs. So that's the thing, guys. You don't have to buy everything that's put in front of you. No, you do not have to rely on LinkedIn to find a job for you, or somebody on LinkedIn to show up on a white horse and be like, oh yes, here's a job, here's a lead. Because another thing too, some people have their heart in the right place, right? Some people want to help other people to find a job. And I've seen more than once, people have shared a post because somebody said, oh, we hired new people. So without them doing their own research to make sure that the job offer and the company is legitimate, they just blindly shared because they saw that they will hire brand new people. And then come to find out that it was somebody doing something with people's information. So that's the thing that you have to be careful, because again, if you're just blindly sharing because, oh, you want to help people, it's great that you want to help people. But if you're not doing your own research to make sure that that is a legitimate share, it's a legitimate company that is being purposeful when they're actually hiring people and not just trying to get people's information, think about that. You have to do your own due diligence, especially if you're going to try to help people like that, because you don't want to be that person that was sharing all that information. And people have felt bad because people were just like, oh, they were all applying because they're just so desperate to get a job. I understand what it's like to be desperate to need a job. I have been there because I was laid off many years ago. That was how I ended up getting involved with medical coding, because I was at the workforce office. And I ended up going back to the workforce office, and they retrained me. They sent me into this program to learn medical billing and coding, but I didn't have a job. And I had to go back to the blue collar work, which was cleaning houses, working at a halfway house for people who had disabilities. I had to watch them and I had to care for them, and working at a bar and working at working at the stadium on the weekend, standing on my feet, working 7 days a week. I had to do all that, working minimum wage and trying to keep my head above water and trying to keep my bills paid. So I've been there. So if you think that you're alone in this, you're not alone. You're not alone. But a lot of times people don't even want to think about having to go back to blue collar work. I went back to blue collar work because I knew that this was just temporary. It was just to pay the bills until I could get my job in medical coding. So that's what I did. And if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do, because there's a softness to people who don't want to do that. And this life is very difficult, and it can get hard really fast, especially if you are just letting everything get to you. If you feel beat down by all of the rejections that you're getting from these employers, you are going to get rejected. I got rejected countless times, and so does everybody else in this industry. Again, you are not alone. You are not any different or any more special than the rest of us. The fact that you went through all these rejections. Does it hurt? Is it hard on the ego? Absolutely. Does it make you second guess what you're doing? Yes. But this is where we have to put on our boots and get ready to move. Because here's the thing. If you can't get your resume right, if you can't get your attitude and your mindset right to finding a job, you're always going to be in that pinwheel of not being able to get out and still being like, oh my gosh, I can't find a job and no one will hire me because I have no experience. They will hire you without experience, but you have to show competence. And it starts with your resume, because your resume is your mouthpiece. And if you are actually applying instead of relying on LinkedIn, right? And all the strangers on LinkedIn to help you, why don't you put that on the back seat, the back burner rather, and start applying with your local hospitals and applying with urgent care centers in your local area and applying with nursing homes, because they all need medical coders, dialysis centers, labs, they all need medical coders. But this fixation of, being on LinkedIn and trying to get somebody to help you find a job, again, no one's going to show up on a white horse to come and hand you a job. You have to go out and find it. And that is the God honest truth. And that is the truth, straightforward and very blunt. And again, I know that a lot of you are really getting kicked down right now. But the thing about it is there's always the next day. There's always the next day. And there's always another tweak on your resume that may be the tweak that's going to get somebody's attention. And you do not have to get somebody to rewrite your resume. I tell you all that all the time. You can go back through my videos and you can even Google Medical Coding with Blue resume tips. All my videos will come right up and all my advice is there, and you absolutely can rewrite your own resume. It is not hard. It is not hard. Or you can go to the public library and see if there's anybody there who can look over it for you and help you with it. You do not have to spend money. You just have to be strategic and think. Okay? And again, applying at other places so that you're not out there with your green banner getting all these emails from, oh yes, we want to recruit you. We want to give you a $10,000 bonus and rah, rah, rah. There's people out there that will be willing to do that and take advantage of people because they know that they're desperate and they'll do that to them. That is the cruelest thing to do. But they will do it, and people will fall for it because they just want a chance. They just want somebody to let them in. Again, that's not the place for you to be actively looking for jobs. You need to be actively out there looking for jobs. And then you can apply with Aetna or Blue Cross Blue Shield. Those are the two big insurances that I recommend, because the other one that's really big, I do not recommend it. There's too much going on with that one right now. Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield, those are the only two I recommend. You can do claims reviewer. Claims reviewer is somebody who's looking at the claim and sending it through an encoder, and then they're making sure that the codes are okay, and then they either say pay or no pay, depending if there's a denial there. If something pops up and, hey, this code can't go with this code, or this procedure is not supported by these codes, denial, you know what I mean? So, and it gets kicked back to the doctor's office or the hospital or whatever. And so that's a good way to get your experience, because that's giving you exposure to codes. Even though you're not actively coding, you are auditing to make sure that the codes that are selected are correct. And if they're not, then you deny. And again, that gives you a chance to look at documentation. It gives you a chance to look at the codes that were selected by somebody else. It takes the burden off of you for a little bit so that you can, your first time out, you can learn. It gives you exposure to the electronic health record. That's another thing too. So that's something that you can do, obviously, to help you get going into the field, instead of having to put up a green banner and try to beg people on LinkedIn for a job. Because if you do that, you will see by this next message that I got today that is just not the way to go. Somebody messaged me and says, I hold a CPCA and a CDEC, Certified Emergency Department Coder. Is your company looking for a driven, eager to learn emergency department coder? If so, I would like to speak with you. I have also seen your YouTube channel and I love your content. And I said, so then you would know, obviously, that I'm not a company because I never mentioned my employer on there either. And why would I say, oh yes, we're hiring, if we are hiring? Why would I say that? Why would I vouch for this person? Why would I tell my people over in HR, hey, this stranger messaged me on LinkedIn. Can you give her a chance? Why would I do that? I wouldn't do that because I don't know you. You have made zero effort to try to let your personality be known on LinkedIn as far as like what you're doing and part of your journey or whatever, or that you're looking to find a job. Because there have been people, and I'm not going to name names, okay? Never did I name names before, but people figured out who I was talking about, ran and told the person, which I was a little irritated with because really, did you need to do that? I didn't say anything bad, but I admired the person for their gumption and their creativity and their journey sharing, because it wasn't about complaining. It was all about statistics with that person and how many jobs had they applied for and what their experience was, and everything they said was positive. Now, I was not connected with that person prior to that because, when you comment on somebody else's page, like everybody on your contact list can see what you're commenting, okay? And so that was how I started to see it. And it was like a lot of people. They were starting to like it, and they were like, motivated by somebody that was new just like them. Well, after all of that, the person ended up getting a job. And so everybody could celebrate. But it took the person a while to get a job too. It wasn't a fast process, but it was still, what were they learning? What were they doing? And how they were experiencing different things in the interview and things like that. So that was something that was more creative. And this person had just connected with me maybe a few days ago and then sends me this ridiculous message. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because what if I was somebody that was ready to take advantage of folks? That would have been very easy to do. Obviously, I would never do that, but it would have been very easy to do. So don't put yourself in a situation like that because you got lucky with me as far as like you messaged me and I'm telling you no. I also told the person, don't do this. This is not in good taste and this is not what you do. When you're out there and you're trying to find a job, you need to be putting your resume out. It takes hundreds of resume applications in order to start getting some kind of movement because it's a numbers game with applying for jobs. It literally is a numbers game. I talked the other night about a viewer who wrote me and who said that she had followed my advice. She had applied at 160 places and she had not heard from some of these people, but then she finally got herself a job and she's been working. And she's so happy because she stuck with it. She followed my advice. She did as I advised, make sure that the resume is right, make sure that you keep applying and that you maintain a positive attitude, even though it's very difficult, I know, but she did everything I told her to do. And now look, she has a job. So it is possible to get a job. You don't need to be sitting here asking people, oh, are you ready for a dynamic coder to be in your facility? I'm ready, because I see that too on some of these cover letters that people post, or they'll put it on their resume. It doesn't look good, guys. It doesn't look good simply because you sound like you're trying to do a sales pitch. And no one has time for this. You see how far that person got with me? Immediately shut down. Because you're not going to get far with that kind of attitude. Oh, well, I'm a what was the word? Eager and driven and eager to learn. Everybody's eager to learn. What else makes you special? And you're sitting here saying that you have a CDEC. Well, I know that it's a certified emergency department coder. Somebody else may not know that, though. Don't you think that would have been a better way to start? But anytime I get sales pitches like this, immediately block. I block because I don't have time for sales pitchy things. There's another person out there that does a lot of these sales pitchy type of emails and always trying to like sell people things. Absolutely not. Blocked completely. I don't have time for it. I don't. All the messages that I get every single day, absolutely not. I don't. This is tomfoolery at its peak. Tomfoolery at its peak. So the thing about it is, I want you guys to understand, not everybody out there is your friend. You should be going the old-fashioned way, applying with the hospitals. There's hospitals, there's medical centers in every single town. Maybe you might have to go 1 or 2 towns over. Maybe it's a 45-minute drive, or maybe it's a 30-minute drive down the road. But that's okay. You can still apply, because sometimes you may apply and they may say, they may not mention anything about working in-house, but they may say, well, we're going to train you for a little while in-house, and then you can go work at home. And sometimes it may be that you need to work at the facility. I already told you, brand new people, that you need to be working in the facility the first go round. Even if it's the first 3 months. I don't care. I just need y'all to get some exposure to other coders. Because there's a huge difference between being in school and being around other students and being around an instructor who has not been coding in the real world in Lord knows how long, right? There's a difference between somebody who's just teaching from a book and somebody who's actually out there in the trenches every single day and working. There's a difference. Their views are different. My view is completely different from a professor's view because I'm actually boots on the ground. So there's a difference in the way we do things. We are not the same. We are not the same. And that's okay, because this industry takes a village, and a village of people with different strengths. Okay, so again, if your strength is, okay, I can follow directions, then here's the directions. You need to be making sure that your resume is on one page. You need to identify yourself, your name, comma, and your credentials next to your name. No one should have to go and do an Easter egg hunt to try to find out what credentials you have. Your work history should not go back more than 10 or 15 years. If you say, well, I have not done anything, I've been a caregiver, I've been raising my kids, that's what you need to put on there. That's what you need to put on there. I've been a volunteer at the church. I talked about that a couple weeks ago now, where people didn't really think about volunteering at the church as something that would be anything transferable to coding. Really? So if you're helping to take the donations and collecting all the money from the parishioners, and you're helping to turn that money in, don't you think that that would be a transferable skill if you wanted to get into billing? If you were just one of the prayer warriors and you were praying for Sister Sharon or Brother John, and you were keeping what their personal situation was to yourself, you don't think that means that you can maintain confidentiality? There's ways of looking at what you've been doing and sharing that information so that it does show that there is some kind of transferable skill. You were a truck driver. Maybe you were a truck driver and you said, well, Blue, I've been a trucker for 20 years. And so that has nothing to do with coding. Oh, really? So all the regulations that you had to follow for hazardous materials or any other chemicals you may have been hauling, or any food products you were hauling, or anything like for like just materials, like goods, regular goods, you don't think that there was regulations that you had to follow? You didn't have to follow the rules of the highway and the safety and all those other things, OSHA? You didn't have to follow that either? We need to think, guys. We need to think about these things, because yes, now you have to do all that. So that means that you can follow regulations. What do you think we have to do? We follow regulations all day. We follow guidelines all day for ICD-10-CM, CPT, HCPCS, ICD-10-PCS. All of them have their own guidelines. And when you on your skills list, if you have that you are organized, you are a team player, or you have a smiling face, you better get that off of there, because those three things, when I have seen those before, absolutely not. This is somebody who's wasting my time. Why? Because on your skills list, that's all of your hard skills. And you can look at the job listings. I've said those hard skills so many times. But organized team player, that's not it. Organized team player, those are soft skills. Your hard skills is your technical skills. And just because you have not worked as a coder does not mean that you do not possess those skills. Because I've heard that from people too. Oh, well, Blue, I don't have any experience as a coder. I can't put down ICD-10-CM and CPT and HCPCS. So you didn't take a certifying exam where you had to use that knowledge? You didn't study that for months? Really? That's the thing. That's the difference between somebody that doesn't know what they're doing and somebody who is a veteran coder who knows and who is trying to tell you what these other veteran coders are going to be looking for. Okay? And the other thing about it is that no one wants to see professional summary for a new coder. You don't have a professional summary. You have a professional objective. And it's maybe 3 sentences, 4 sentences at the most. It's a professional objective. What job are you applying for that company? And you need to update it every single time. I don't want to hear complaints. No complaints. Because these companies, they get hundreds of applications. I'm telling you how to make yours stand out. If you see in that job listing that they want a medical records technician, you better put medical records technician, that's the job that you are seeking. And don't make it sound like a sales pitch. Are you ready for a driven and eager to learn medical coder? Because that's going to go in the pile that I'm not going to call you, because now you're not doing what I need you to do, which is just tell me what your skills are. Get right to the point. Be as concise as you possibly can. And make sure that when you're wording on your resume, that you don't get too wordy. That you leave off things like in regards to. Okay? Whenever I see that in regards to, that's too many words. What are you trying to do? Right? Just get right to the point. Tell me what kind of reports did you run, but don't tell me what the title of the report was. Like if you say, oh, I ran a QRS report, I don't know what the heck a QRS report is. I have no idea. So, but if that QRS report means the report was about how many items were shipped and did it clear the manifest, that's what I need you to put. I ran a report for the amount of items that were shipped to cross-reference with another document, whatever document you want to say. So that's something that is more, okay, they can run a report, they can use Excel, they can make sure they distinguish between letters and numbers, because that is what we do in coding anyway. So, but with that said, don't complain on LinkedIn. Don't send messages like that person sent me that message with not even building a relationship with me and then asking me, is there any openings at my facility? You never ask a stranger to vouch for you. Never. Because again, you don't know who they are. They don't know you. Don't put them in that position. I won't vouch for people that I don't know. Because why? I've had people message me before too. Blue, can I use you as a reference? Do I know you? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So again, that's something we got to use common sense when we're out here and we're trying to find a job. But the onus for finding a job is on you. It's not on anybody else. It's not on anybody else in the field, and it's not their responsibility. It is yours. And how do you get there? You get there by applying yourself. If you get the automatic rejection from the AI, that's all right. You can mail it in, because the U.S. Post Office doesn't automatically reject your mail. And that mail has to go to the addressee. In that job listing, there's going to be a name for whoever is the contact, or the department, whoever is the contact for that job. You do not deliver it in person. You send it through the mail so they can deliver it to that person. So that person will have to open that resume. And now you've got your resume in front of somebody who is in a position to do the hiring. And if it looks good, there is a better chance of getting a call than somebody who never did that in the first place. I'm just saying. So, with that said, LinkedIn is a great place for meeting other people as far as like connecting with other professionals, but do not send messages like that, and do not waste people's time by saying things like that. And then the person also said, oh, the A is just a letter. No, apprentice is something for y'all to be proud of too, because you made a choice. You are brand new in this industry. It is nothing to be ashamed of to have the apprentice status, because we were all new at one time. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.